Dramatic, suspenseful music begins, and then softens the great mating ceremony. For every she-wolf, it's the most anticipated night of their lives. A night whispered about in hushed, excited tones, since we were pups. A night to find your destined mate, the other half of your soul, under the gaze of the moon goddess herself. For me, Elara, it felt less like a dream and more like a sentence. I was just an ordinary wolf from the outer pack, lost in a sea of silks and anticipation. All I wanted was to remain invisible. But fate, it seems, has a twisted sense of humor. The air crackled with power as he ascended the dais. Alpha King Lycan. Not just an alpha, but the king of all alphas. His presence was a physical force, a tidal wave of authority and raw power that brought the entire clearing to a reverent silence. His eyes, the color of molten gold, scanned the crowd, and for a terrifying second, I felt them snag on me. My heart hammered against my ribs, a frantic drum against the sudden quiet. A primitive fear, cold and sharp, shot through me. This was a predator, a king, a man who held the lives of thousands in his hands. Then, the High Elder began the incantation, his voice echoing through the ancient woods. One by one, mates were cold, pairs finding each other in a daze of blissful recognition. I held my breath, praying to the goddess to just let this night pass. Let me go back to my simple life. But her answer was not the one I prayed for. The High Elder's voice boomed. Alpha King Lycan. A collective gasp swept through the she-wolves. Who would be his mate? The queen. The tension was thick enough to taste. His golden eyes began to glow, searching, hunting, and then they locked onto mine. There was no mistaking it. A glowing, ethereal thread of light connected us, visible only to him and, to my horror, to me. My world tilted. Panic, pure and undiluted, clawed at my throat. No, not him. Anyone but him. He was a ruthless king, a conqueror whose legends were soaked in the blood of his enemies. Whispers said he had no heart, only ambition. To be his mate wasn't an honor. It was a gilded cage, a life of duty and fear under the scrutiny of all the packs. It was the end of Elara. End of me. He started towards me, a slow, deliberate pace that was more terrifying than any charge. The crowd parted for him like the sea for a god. Every instinct screamed at me to run, to flee, to disappear back into the shadows where I belonged. He was a king, and I was a nobody. I wouldn't be his pawn, his pretty little queen locked away in a castle. My freedom was the only thing I truly owned, and I would not give it up. He stopped just before me, his immense shadow swallowing me whole. That possessive, triumphant look in his eyes was the final spark. Mine, he growled. The single word to claim, a binding, a final judgment. In that moment, something inside me snapped. It wasn't logic, it wasn't reason. It was pure, unadulterated defiance. Before I could even think, my hand flew up, and the sound of my palm connecting with the Alpha King as cheek echoed in the stunned silence of the clearing. A slap. I had struck the king. Silence. Absolute, deafening silence. Gasps turned to horrified stares. I could feel 1,000 pairs of eyes on me, predicting my imminent demise. I had just signed my own death warrant. My hand trembled, not from fear, but from the aftershock of my own audacity. I met his gaze, expecting fury, expecting death. But what I saw stopped my heart. His head was turned slightly, a faint red mark blooming on his chiseled jaw. And then he chuckled, a low, rumbling sound that seemed to shake the very ground. He slowly turned his head back to me, and the look in his golden eyes was not anger. It was fascination. A dangerous, predatory fire lit within them, and a slow, wicked smile spread across his lips. He leaned in close, his voice a low whisper for my ears only, sending shivers down my spine. Finally, he breathed. The sound, a mix of amusement and something darker, something possessive, a woman with fire. He straightened up, his smile widening as he looked at my shocked face. This, he declared to the silent, astonished crowd is going to be far more interesting than I thought. My act of defiance hadn't saved me. It had intrigued him. It had sealed my fate in a way I could never have imagined. I hadn't escaped the cage. I had just made the king decide to lock the door and throw away the key himself. What happens when a simple she-wolf defies an all-powerful king? What happens when his anger turns to obsession? My story was just beginning, and I had a feeling the entire werewolf world was about to be shaken to its core. If you want to see how this fiery tale unfolds, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss what comes next. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next part of the story.